Rishi Sunak finally unveiled the COVID-19 rescue package desperate businesses had been waiting for, and swiftly found himself under fire for delivering too little, too late. The Chancellor will bring an end to furlough under his job retention scheme, which still has 4 million workers on it, on Halloween. And saying he is now focused on saving viable jobs, he will launch the job support scheme on November the 1st, with taxpayers topping up the pay of staff working at least a third of their normal hours. With 700,000 jobs already lost amid the pandemic, Mr Sunak had been urged to extend the lifeline furlough scheme and offer targeted aid for particularly hard-hit sectors such as hospitality and tourism. And the consensus yesterday was his new scheme failed to do enough for at-risk workers, comparing poorly with other countries such as Germany and France. Institute of Fiscal Studies Director Boris Johnson warned it was significantly less generous than furlough, adding, "It is clear many jobs will be lost over the coming months." Close quote. And Unite leader Len McCluskey feared it may come too late for far too many, and leaves gaps that could see millions more facing poverty and joblessness. Labour said the plan should have been announced earlier, potentially saving some jobs. Shadow Chancellor Anneliese Dodds told MPs, "This comes too late for many who have already lost their job, because the businesses employing them believed there would be no support following the end of next month." Close quote. There was also criticism over the worry created by delaying the news until several days after Boris Johnson announced the 10 p.m. curfew for the hospitality sector. Claims of a rift with the Prime Minister began circulating as he was not in the Commons for Mr Sunak's lunchtime statement. Downing Street insisted there was absolutely not a problem between the PM and the Chancellor. Under the job support scheme, dubbed the Winter Economy Plan, firms will continue to pay staff for hours they work. For hours not worked, the government and employer each pay a third of their equivalent salary. It means staff only able to do shorter hours will still be paid 2/3 of the hours for the time they cannot work. Employees must be working at least a third of their usual hours to qualify, and are guaranteed at least 77% of total pay. By contrast, under the Kurzarbeit, short working scheme in Germany, which existed before the pandemic, employers pay wages, while staff are at work and the state covers up to 80% when they are not. And unlike the UK, the scheme has always allowed part-time working, with staff getting full pay for the hours they work. The government then meets a percentage of the hours they cannot work, usually rising from an initial 60% to 80% after 6 months. Unveiling his plan, Mr Sunak said, "The government will directly support wages of people in work, giving businesses who faced the pressed demand the option of keeping employees on shorter hours, rather than making them redundant." Close quote. He refused to say how many jobs he believed would be lost, or name the industries where jobs were viable. Employers will not be allowed to make anyone on the scheme redundant. Mr Sunak spoke as the UK recorded 6,634 new coronavirus cases yesterday, the highest daily toll yet. Public Health England Medical Director Yvonne Doyle said, "This is a stark warning. We must all follow the new measures. Hospitality firms have been hit hard with 4 in 5 stopping trading in April and 1 4 million staff on furlough, the highest proportion of any sector. Food and Drink Federation Chief Executive Ian Wright warned, only by continuing a targeted furlough scheme, while the current restrictions remain, will we avoid mass long-term unemployment. Close quote. Trade body UK Bounds Chief Executive Jos Croft added, the government's one-size-fits-all approach doesn't work. Inbound tourism businesses have again been overlooked. But CBI Chief Dame Caroline Fairbairn said, these bold steps will save hundreds of thousands of viable jobs this winter. Close quote.